Welcome to ISO 50001, maximizing your energy efficiency through proven standards. For best viewing results, we recommend that you maximize your browser window now. The screen controls allow you to navigate through the e-learning experience. Using your browser controls may disrupt the normal play of the course. Click the Notes tab to read a transcript of the narration. At the completion of this course, you will be able to define the international standard, ISO 50001. Define the importance of complying with ISO 50001. Identify the benefits associated with the use of standards like ISO 50001. Describe an energy management system as it relates to ISO 50001. Explain the purpose of superior energy performance. List the steps to comply with standard ISO 50001. And describe best practices that have been used to deploy ISO 50001. Established, well-documented standards play an important role in all types of business. They generate a fixed, reliable structure for an organization as it defines its operations, processes, and business goals. The International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, is the world's largest developer of voluntary international standards. Since 1947, their highly practical and credible standards have been making industry more efficient and effective by establishing market expectations for quality with ISO 9001, environmental management systems with ISO 14001, and other business drivers. As defined by the International Organization for Standardization, a standard is a document that provides requirements, specifications, guidelines, or characteristics that can be used consistently to ensure that materials, products, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. ISO standards present the most up-to-date provisions for products, services, and best practices. They are developed through global agreement, so they assist in the breakdown of international trade barriers. This course is designed as an introduction to a relatively new standard, ISO 50001, Energy Management Systems, Requirements with Guidance for Use. Released in 2011, this standard seeks to support organizations' efforts to use energy more efficiently through the deployment of an energy management system, or EnMS, and associated work practices. Early trends indicate that the ISO 50001 Energy Management Standard is poised for tremendous growth in U.S. adoption rate. Multinational manufacturers recognize that the standard gives credibility and structure to an energy management initiative within an industrial process facility and saves energy cost, reduces downtime, improves energy reliability, and contributes to environmental sustainability objectives. Is your organization interested in saving money, conserving resources, and tackling climate change? Does your organization want to be a champion of energy efficiency and capture new business opportunities as changes in public policy and customer preferences transform global markets? The adoption of ISO 50001, with or without certification, is one way to help achieve this critical mission. If you are a product manufacturer, if your customers are not demanding this today, keep in mind that they may in the near future. Would you want a competitive advantage when that happens? ISO 9001 and ISO 14001 have become well-known standards in industrial organizations. ISO 50001 is based on the same type of management system model of continual improvement. This makes it easier for organizations to integrate energy management into their overall efforts to improve quality and environmental management. It's important to recognize ISO 50001 as 5001 and ISO 14001 have become well-known standards in industrial organizations. ISO 50001 is based on the same type of management system model of continual improvement. This makes it easier for organizations to integrate energy management into their overall efforts to improve quality and environmental management. It's important to recognize ISO 50001 as a standard for operating an energy management system within an industrial facility. Keep in mind, when we talk about a system, we are talking about a critical set of policies and procedures which will help to guide you to effectively plan, do, check, and act within your plant in terms of encouraging and sustaining a high level of energy efficiency. When we discuss this type of system, we are talking about an EnMS, which refers to a management system that meets the requirements of ISO 50001. This should not be confused with an EMS, or Energy Management System, which usually refers to software which either provides centralized visualization of energy meter data or enables specific energy control functions, such as temperature setbacks or occupancy controls. What can ISO 50001 do for you? ISO 50001 provides a framework of requirements for organizations to develop a policy for more efficient use of energy. Fix targets and objectives to meet the policy. Use data to better understand and make decisions about energy use. Measure the results. Review how well the policy works and continually improve energy management. So, why do ISO standards matter? ISO standards are applicable to any organization, regardless of type, size, location, or product provided. ISO's impact goes beyond product criteria to best practices in factories and even environmental performance. These standards are part of an overarching reference framework. For example, ISO 9001 specifies requirements for a quality management system. ISO 9001 has become integral to providing a quality product that meets customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. And ISO 14001 addresses important environmental standards that keep our environment safe. For example, such a standard would prohibit landfill disposal of batteries and would describe how to dispose of chemicals in a way that preserves the environment. Naturally, as these standards are released and gain exposure, we begin to see a common pattern occur. Let's talk a bit about the adoption rate for these types of standards. At first, it was mainly European-based plants that adopted standards like 9001 and then 14001 to adhere to local laws or to take advantage of certain tax incentives. American companies also adopted these standards within their European operations, but then adopted these same standards in other locations, including their plants within the U.S. These same companies then extend compliance requirements to their direct supplier base, then down to lower tiers within the supply chain. This causes an exponential growth in adoption rate, as depicted in this chart of ISO 14001 certification. We can now see this same effect in ISO 50001 adoption. 20 months after the June 2011 publication of the standard, more than 2,500 sites have received certification, which closely matches the ISO 14001 curve. Even more significant is the number of sites adopting the ISO 50001 standard without seeking immediate certification. Why implement the ISO 50001 standard? There are 3 reasons. First, it's an emerging market expectation. Here we see a list of multinationals who are adopting the standard, and this list is rapidly expanding each and every day. Do you recognize any names on this list? Second, it provides a competitive advantage by providing for decreased energy demand and costs, elevation of green brand, decreased maintenance costs, cross-functional alignment, continuous improvement culture, and engaged employees. Third, it provides an efficient framework for an energy management program. Many companies have a collection of unstructured energy management initiatives with uncertain priorities, inconsistent metrics, and confusing objectives. This disorder causes many well-intended programs to lose credibility and effectiveness and makes it difficult to justify further investments. The ISO 50001 structure can be used to organize the initiatives that have already begun, and more importantly, allows the energy stakeholders to understand where the gaps are in the energy strategy. All of this leads to filling in those gaps and fulfilling the objectives of the energy management program, which include attaining certification, setting best practices, and achieving standardization. What can be ISO 50001 certified? You, the user, define the scope of certification. It can be an entire company, a specific site, a specific process, or a workstation. This means that implementation is completely scalable. If, for example, you have a specific purchaser of your product who imposes energy and sustainability requirements for its suppliers, you may be able to take a competitive advantage by certifying the production line that supplies that customer. Schneider Electric has long been seen as the global specialist in energy management and a true thought leader in energy efficiency initiatives that span many industries. The very first site globally to certify the ISO standard in June 2011 was Schneider Electric's world headquarters, known as the Hive. By now, you might be asking yourself, how is ISO 50001 different from LEED? I'm already LEED certified. Why should I be following ISO 50001 as well? Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, or LEED, consists of a suite of rating systems for the design and construction of high-performance green buildings, homes, and neighborhoods. Developed by the U.S. Green Building Council, LEED pertains to the physical characteristics of the building and the installed conservation measures. LEED addresses things like an installation's R value, the efficiency of your boiler, whether your windows face north or south, and what sort of window coverings you might need as a result to conserve energy. ISO 50001 concentrates on the management policies and procedures to generate efficient operation in the years to come. ISO 50001 deals with making process improvements, and it asks, how can you change your current process to make it more efficient? ISO 50001 does not, by itself, quantify the amount of energy cost savings that a business acquires as a result of implementing ISO 50001. This is where the Superior Energy Performance Rating, or SEP rating, becomes important. The SEP rating was first released in early 2012 as a complement to ISO 50001. It is a grading system specifically for performance improvement. It was created to help describe the amount of energy savings an organization has received as a benefit in terms of energy savings as a result of implementing ISO 50001. There are 3 levels associated with a certain percentage of energy savings and performance improvement. 5% performance improvement equals silver, 10% performance improvement equals gold, 15% performance improvement equals platinum. In order to be eligible for a SEP rating, your organization must be ISO 50001 certified. SEP is currently offered in 4 different sectors: industrial, commercial, transportation, and utility. When marketing yourself as compliant, your organization would use this type of language. We comply with ISO 50001 and have achieved platinum level results. SEP ratings may be imposed as requirements for supply chain participation or various grant and funding programs from utilities or governments. There are always challenges associated with the adoption of any new standardized process. There is an initial investment, and there always is when making improvements. But think about it this way. Your organization is probably making this investment already. This is one way you can be assured that you are spending that money as wisely as you should be. Or you could be making the investment in an unstructured way, and it could be defined more clearly by taking on the implementation of this global standard. Types of initial investments include things like the dedication of internal resources to enable and maintain the changes associated with process improvement, and the CapEx investment associated with certification. Then you have the challenge of establishing C-level engagement. It can be difficult to seek out true leaders, visionaries, who can see the benefits of implementing this performance improvement strategy, even though it's not mandated at this time, and it's too new to show case studies for savings. Identify and engage these visionaries early on. They are the people who can inspire trust, support change, and nurture initiatives that encourage an increase in efficiency and productivity. If you already implement ISO 9001 and ISO 14001, then you probably already have many of the processes in place and a process mindset in place to embark on the implementation of ISO 50001. Here we can see a Schuhart cycle that establishes an effective plan for implementing ISO 50001. Let's investigate each topic further. Plan is the first step in the anatomy of a standard. This is where you institute the essential objectives and processes to deliver results in accordance with the expected target. Click each tab to learn more. This is an assessment of current energy consumption, procurement practices, and conservation measures. This tells us how to do an assessment and shows what an energy assessment should include and what the scope of the assessment should be. It should include everything, process too, not just the building envelope and not just lighting. On average, 84% of energy used within a manufacturing facility is in the manufacturing process, not in the building systems. So the assessment needs to include the process equipment for the biggest impact. The standard outlines the process of creating an effective energy policy, which includes defining planning inputs, performing an energy review, which includes analyzing energy consumption, identifying areas of significant consumption, and identifying opportunities for improving energy performance, and defining planning outputs, things like energy performance indicators, targets, and objectives. The organization should identify, implement, and have access to the applicable legal requirements and other requirements to which the organization subscribes related to its energy use, consumption, and efficiency. Legal requirements could include the air permits associated with boilers and limitations on generator use. The organization should consider energy performance improvement opportunities in the design of new, modified, and renovated facilities, equipment, and systems. For example, a factory may be considering a change to raw material composition to reduce cost. However, such a change may impact batch temperature setting, or may require an application of chilled water or other energy resource. Without ISO 50001, such energy cost impacts may not be factored into the business decision to change raw materials. When procuring energy services, products, and equipment that can have an impact on significant energy use, the organization should inform suppliers that procurement is partly evaluated on the basis of energy performance. For example, a clause within your standard terms and conditions could indicate that procurement is partly evaluated on the basis of energy performance. Energy consumption could then be factored into the rating system for the new equipment. Do is the second step in the anatomy of a standard. Here is where you implement the plan and carry out the process. You also gather data for investigation in the following check and act steps. Click each tab to learn more. The organization should develop, record, and maintain an energy review. The methodology and criteria used to develop the energy review is documented. To develop the energy review, the standard states that the organization must analyze energy use and consumption based on measurement and other data. Based on the analysis of the energy use and consumption, identify the areas of significant energy use. Identify, prioritize, and record opportunities for improving energy performance. It's important to identify ENPIs that are appropriate to monitoring and measuring energy performance. And of course, it's best to put that in the context of your production output. Here is where you investigate things like how you should come up with energy measurement metrics. How are they collected? How are they used? And do they need to be put into a database? For process energy metrics, we suggest putting energy in the context of production output. For example, watt-hours per widget, BTUs per gallon, or kilowatt-hours per ton of material processed. Check is the third step in the anatomy of a standard. Here you study the actual results, energy policy, and compare them against the anticipated results to determine any differences. This allows you to determine appropriateness and completeness of the plan and